So, shalom. I want to start off by saying, Barakatham, Yahweh Shai, and I want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, and Kakadash. Double honors unto the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, who rule well, and shout out to the whole Filet, who started with the 144,000 shalom. All right, so I had finished this lesson already, but it's gonna hit me in the spirit to go back over this because Apostle Hart was going into it a little bit, but the spirit kind of hit me to kind of go into it some more, right? So I'm gonna play it video before I say what I want to say, but basically it's like Apostle Hart is saying, man, a lot of these are a lot of these camps are stumbling blocks, right? Because I'm not really trying to get into it, and I don't really like try to come at nobody or be in that such, just contending in the righteous faith, right? Matter of fact, quick precept before I even started. Jude. Bear with me real fast. This is the book of Jude. Jude is one chapter. The Jude 1 and 3, right? It says, "Beloved, when I gave all diligence to write unto you of common salvation, it was needful for me to write unto you and exhort you that you should earnestly contend for the faith which we want to live unto the saints," right? So, so basically, this is Jude. One of Yahweh Shai's biological brothers, and he's telling, so after Yahweh Shai laid down his resurrection, put him to the Father, right? You had these apostates who was basically twisting the doctrine that Yahweh Shai left, right? And he telling them, right? He telling them like, hey, I was trying to write a letter to you, but now it's earnest me to write this letter to you to tell you to contend in the righteous faith, right? To contend for the faith, to fight for the truth, right? I got it right here in my notes, right? Jude wrote this book. It was first a letter around 52, 55 AD. After Yahweh Shai died and was resurrected, you had guys who was following his doctrine. They left from it and started teaching other doctrines, right? Because of them apostates, right? Jude was warning the rest of the faithful, those who was apostate. He's warning them through this letter, right? Because Yahweh Shai left the 100% truth, man. Because Yahweh Shai came down here with the fullness, right? 100% truth, right? So I want to play this real fast, and Lord, we'll go into it through the Spirit.
All right, this 1 John chapter 2 and verse 22. Who is a liar but he that denieth that Jesus is the Christ?
See that?
He is an antichrist that denieth the Father and the Son.
That's the fallen ones that Paul is focusing on. It wouldn't make sense if he was talking about how did all Israel fall? And I'm here teaching you.
Right.
How did Israel fall?
All Israel fall. Man, let me get ready to close this, man. 2 Thessalonians.
All right, so and Apostle Hart, he went into it. He went into it, a little bit, and I'm gonna go to the precept that Apostle Hart was gonna bring out, right? And we'll start there because when you understand it, right? All Israel, the falling away did happen with our people, right? The Most High, the Most High, the Northern Kingdom was, brought into captivity, right? And also was Judah was sent into captivity, right? All Israel did fall. Why? Because the Northern Kingdom and the Southern Kingdom was bent and disrespecting the Most High, right? And to be real, Apostle Hart kind of explained that in 2 Kings 17 when he showed, right? I'll go there real fast. Slacky, bear with me. But 2 Kings 17, right? And I'll get straight to the point, Excuse me for notification, right? Let's see. Right after verse 18, he said, "And therefore the Lord was very angry with Israel and removed them out of his sight, and there was none left but the tribe of Judah only. Also Judah kept not the commandments of the Lord Yahweh, their power, and walked in the statutes of Israel which they made. And the Lord rejected all the seed of Israel and afflicted them and delivered them into the hand of spoilers." Right at the time, it's talking about Northern Kingdom, Assyrian, but the Lord rejected all the seed of Israel, right? Because Judah was also disrespecting his Yahweh Shem Yahushua, right? Because even when you go to you go to 1 Kings, chapter 11, right? You understand it, right? You know, Solomon went off, right? Solomon went off, and it names what they was doing. So like, bear with me, right? Right here, 1 Kings 11 and 33 gets straight to the point, right? He said, "Because they have forsaken me and have worshipped Ashtoreth, the goddess of the Zidonians, Chemosh, the god of Moabites, Milcom, the god of the children of Ammon, and have not walked in my ways to do that which is right in my eyes, and to keep my statutes and my judgment, as did David his father." Right? Because why? Solomon let the women turn his heart away, so he had Israel going off. Because when they was together, right? When through the house of Saul and the house of David, both tribes was together, but kingdom was split after Solomon went off. Things that such, and Solomon died, and then had his son, and then you had Jeroboam, the Ephraimite. Which is Ephraim is the head of the northern tribe, right? So-called Puerto Ricans, right? When we read up, you'll see that both tribes basically was going off, right? So both tribes basically was going off. And, now I'm going to go back to 2 Thessalonians, right? The most high got on their ass, right? Then you have, that's when you had the first temple get sacked to Babylonians, right? And then then you have the Persians, right? The Most High brought them back into the land of Jerusalem, right? And they built the second temple back up, right? So, right? Matter of fact, let me go to that real fast. First Esdras 1, and so this is the kingdom, right? Let me see. First Esdras chapter 1. I'm gonna read verse 5. It says, "According as David, the king of Israel, prescribed, and according to the magnificence of Solomon his son, and standing in the temple, according to the several dignity of the families of you Levites who minister in the presence of your brethren, the children of Israel." So this is the temple that King Solomon built, right? I'll read verse 3. I should start at verse 3. I'll read verse 3 real fast. He said, "He spake to the Levites, the holy ministers of Israel, that they should hallow themselves unto the Lord to set the holy ark of the Lord in the house that the King Solomon, the son of David, had built." All right, so I'm going to jump down real fast. And bear with me. Right? It's verse 40, right? He said, "Wherefore against him Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, came up and bound him with a chain of brass and carried him into Babylon. Nebuchadnezzar also took of the holy vessels of the Lord and carried them away and set them in his own temple at Babylon." Right? So then, verse 54 and 55, right? He says, "And they took all the holy vessels," right? And you can read this chapter. I'm just really bringing the point across, right? It says, And they took all the holy vessels of the Lord, both great and small, with the vessels of the ark of Yahweh, and the king's treasures, and carried them into Babylon. As for the house of the Lord, they burnt it, and brake down the walls of Jerusalem, and set fire upon her tower. So they destroyed the first temple, right? So then you have the Persians, right, in the first year of Cyrus, king of the Persians, that the word of the Lord might be accomplished, that he promised by the mouth of Jeremy, that the Lord raised up the spirit of Cyrus, the king of the Persians. He had made proclamation through all his kingdom, also by writing, saying, this said to Cyrus, the king of Persia, the Lord of Israel, the Most High Lord, had made me king of the whole world, had commanded me to build him a house at Jerusalem and Jewry. If therefore any of you that are of his people, let the Lord, even his Lord, be with him, and let him go into Jerusalem, and that is in Yahweh, Judea, right? That's how you say Judea and Hebrew, Yahweh, and build the house of the Lord of Israel, for he is the Lord that dwelleth in Jerusalem, man, right? So understanding that, right, our kingdom was built back up, right? And you know, the second temple was built back up, right? So then you go into Yahweh Shah coming on the scene, right? And we can search it up, man. We can search it up, man. Right? 2C, right? So the house of Mary took place during the time of the second temple, right? After we went through, the first temple was built by King Solomon, was destroyed by the Babylonians, right? So then you have the let's see, we're gonna leave that. Let's leave that up. Who beat the Babylonians? Cyrus the Great. Right, Persians, right? So it's right. So let's continue reading, right? It said the second temple was built after return from Babylon exile, and was eventually expanded by Herod the Great. Yahweh Shah was active in Jerusalem during the Roman period, which was the second temple, which is when the second temple stood, right? So after the second temple is built, right, this is when now, because our people are foolish. Our people are getting caught up in ways, right? People getting caught up in all the ways of Let me see something, right? Class. Let me see something. Was the northern kingdom of Israel and Jerusalem? Right? No, the northern kingdom was not in Jerusalem during the second temple period. The second temple period was located in Jerusalem, which was part of the southern kingdom of Judah. The northern kingdom was separate from the southern kingdom, had its own capital, Samaria. The Assyrian Empire conquered and destroyed the northern kingdom of Israel 72 BCE according to history. Right? The second temple began after the Babylonians destroyed the first temple and exiled the people of Judah, right? And the second temple was built. So just like Apostle Harvey saying, man, if you watch the video he was saying, right, when even in Romans 11, he was talking to the southern kingdom, right? Because the northern kingdom had already been thrown in captivity through northern kingdom had already been thrown in captivity through the Syrians and later traveled over here to the Americas, man. Right? Because you understand, Ephraim was over how they traveled over here, right? Things of that such, right? Tribe of Gad, right? Things of that such. It was already over here. right? It was already exiled. They already had it fallen away. And you see how they was living when they came over here. They already had it fallen away, man, right? Let's see. Second Ezra 13, and just straight to the point. Starting at 40, right? It says, these are the 10 tribes which have carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of Hosea the king of Assyria, led away captive and carried them over the waters and summoned them into their another land. But they took counsel among themselves, they would leave the multitude of the heathen and go forth to a further country whenever mankind doth, right? That they might keep their statues which they never kept in their own land. Why? Because Salmanasar, right? He's bringing all these people over into their land, right? And, ultimately it was the Most High pushing them out of their land, but he was working through Salmanasar to do it, right? Most High was having Salmanasar do it, bringing all these people into their land and eventually pushed them out. So the Northern Kingdom, they would leave and go to a country where never mankind up, right? And who's the quote unquote first people over here in America when Christopher Columbus didn't know he was going to magically end up over here? Gad then was over here, man, right? So you already had the Northern Kingdom who was going off, who was already caught up in disrespecting the Most High, who's already doing these things. I'm trying to see if there's anything else on here. Who's already going off, right? So now let's go to the book of Daniel, right? Right? So basically, I'm bringing this out, right, just to understand the falling away, man, because there was a falling away. All of Israel did fall. And what I mean by that is Israel was lost. Israel was lost at one point. That's why the Southern Kingdom and the Northern Kingdom went through what they went through, right? Because you can't say there was never no falling away if and I'll go back to the video to show you the point, what I'm saying.
All right, this 1 John chapter 2
makes sense in context. When you read Romans 11 line upon line, there's no other conclusion you could come to. Read on.
This 1 John 2
What's up, Bob? Makes sense in
70 AD, that's what Paul was talking about.
lights didn't fall. You understand? That don't make sense. The fallen people are those who did not accept.
No, ultimately all of them fell. 2 Thessalonians, they all fell. Must be a falling away first. They did fall, 70 AD. 70 AD, that's what Paul was talking about. 2 Thessalonians.
Christ, right? That's the only thing that makes sense in context. When you read Romans 11 line upon line, there's no other conclusion you could come to. Read on.
This 1 John 2.
What's up, Bob?
Talking about
Salvation came to the Gentiles. Who is he talking about? He's talking about the religious Jews who would not accept Christ.
Right.
That's the fallen people he's talking about.
okay, he's right on that. He's right on that. Wasn't talking about
think the
the
part
Northern
coming up, he
Kingdom.
said.
Northern Kingdom was in Americas. If there were any remnant of the Northern Kingdom, they were mingled in among the Southern Kingdom.
And that's the point. That's the point of what I'm saying, right? So when Romans 11, as you break it down, when you understand it, right? In history, all the Northern Kingdom was already exiled. It was over here in the Americas, man, right? And we just shows the history of that, right? And we just show you that through Google as well. The second temple is Judah. So now here come when Howard Shah come on the scene and telling them, right? Matter of fact, I'll let Pastor keep talking a little bit
Even
more.
though they knew who they were.
They fell. Because of their rejection of Christ, we take our message away from them and we go to our brothers out here and teach them grace. The Israelites didn't fall. You understand? That don't make sense. The fallen people are those who did not accept.
No, ultimately all of them fell. 2 Thessalonians, they all fell. Must be a falling away first. They did fall, 70 AD. 70 AD, that's what Paul was talking about. 2 Thessalonians.
Christ, right? That's the only thing that makes sense in context. When you read Romans 11 line upon line, there's no other conclusion you could come to. Read on.
All right, this 1 John chapter 2 and verse 22. Who is a liar but he that denieth that Jesus is the Christ?
See that?
He is an antichrist that denieth the Father and the Son.
That's the fallen ones that Paul is focusing on. It makes sense if he was talking about how did all Israel fall? And I'm here teaching you.
Right.
How did Israel fall?
All Israel fall. Man, let me get ready to close this, man.
And that's the point, it kind of hit me in the spirit to go into it, right? Continue to righteous face, because all Israel did fall. You didn't necessarily say, oh, Northern Kingdom fair, no, they both fell the same. No, you got, when you understand the history, understand how things went. Northern Kingdom was exiled out of Samaria, right? Then you had Jerusalem, then you had Judah, right? Benjamin, Judah, Benjamin, Levi, right? You're finna read now how Shah come on the scene, and you tell them, that's when that Second Thessalonians come in, right? When he telling them that should be a falling away first, right? So let's see. Right here, right? Daniel 9, start at verse 11, right? He says, "Yet all of Israel have transgressed thy law." Once again, right? "Yet all Israel have transgressed thy law, even by departing, that they might not obey thy voice. Therefore the curse is poured upon us, the oath that is written in the law of Moses, the servant of Yahweh, because we have sinned against him." Right? And we understand it, right? When he gave us the laws and commandments, he told us, right? You do these things, right? You do these things, when you do these things, you receive the promises. If you don't, these curses will come upon you, right? That's like it, right? It says, "And he hath confirmed his word, which he spake against us, and against our judges that judged us, by bringing upon us a great evil. For under the whole heaven have not been done as hath been done upon Jerusalem." It says, "As it is written, the law of Moses, all this evil has come upon us. Yet made we not our prayer before the Lord Yahweh, our power, that we might turn from our iniquities and understand our truth. Therefore the Lord Yahweh watched upon the evil and brought it upon us." Brought it upon us. "For the Lord Yahweh, our power, is righteous in all his works, which he doeth, for we obey not his voice," because his judge was right. So our people didn't listen, right? So this is when he's telling them, right? Daniel 9:24, right? He says, 70 weeks are determined upon thy people and upon thy holy city, to finish the transgression, to make end of sins, to make reconciliation for iniquity, and to bring in everlasting righteousness, and to seal up the vision and the prophecy, and to anoint the holiness. Who is that? That's talking about Yahushua, right? Talking about the time of the building of the temple, right? Because we built the second temple up, and the Yahushua coming on the scene and dying, right? And bringing it. Yahushua died on the cross. He said it was finished. They didn't realize they had to go through hell to get what was coming, right? They didn't. You got to know as we read, right? Let me see, right? Yahushua was crucified approximately 40 years before the destruction of the temple by the Roman army, right? He was crucified 40 years before. So time went on, man. Iniquity is going out. Iniquity is going out, because you got to think. In the time of Rome, these are them Gentiles. Because we're going to get to that, right? He said, "Knowing therefore, understand that going forth of the commandment to restore and to build Jerusalem unto the Messiah the Prince shall be 7 weeks and 60, and the street shall be built again in the wall, even at troublous time." What's those troublous times, right? If you go to Ezra 4:1, you understand that when 70 weeks is a 490 from the time of the building of the temple, right? Troublous times is what, right? It says, "After the 62 weeks shall Messiah be cut off, but not for himself and the people of the prince, and they shall come and destroy the city and the sanctuary in the end thereof." What is those troublous times, right? "It shall be with the flood." What is that flood? The Roman armies flooded Jerusalem. "And to the end of the war, desolations are determined," right? And I bring up my notes so you can see it, man, right? So the 62 weeks represent the time of the building of the temple, and to the time Yahushua was on the cross, right? The people of the prince was the Romans, right? The Flavian dynasty, right? You had Vespasian, Titus, and Domitian, right? The people of the prince was Titus, right? The flood is talking about the Roman armies coming to slaughter, man, right? It's those troublous times, man. right? We got to think, we in captivity during these times, man, right? We just got, the Babylonians disescorted the temple. Then Cyrus took us back to Jerusalem to rebuild under the basically read Ezra 4:1 and tell you, right? You know, we're building this temple as the King Cyrus telling it, roughly paraphrasing, right? But the point in me bringing this out, right, is so you can see that, you know, Yahweh was telling them, right, hey, right, you know, it's things you finna have to go through in order for you to get to this kingdom, right? And that's when that falling away come in, right? So 2 Thessalonians 3, 2 Thessalonians 2, right? I started verse 1 says, now we beseech you, brethren, by the coming of our Lord Yahweh Shah Mashiach, by the gathering together unto him, that ye may be soon shaken in mind or be troubled, neither by spirit, nor by word, nor by letter, as from us, as that great day of Mashiach is at hand, right? Because they kept, he gonna come tomorrow, he gonna come in, he gonna come in, he gonna come and take down Romans, he gonna, they thinking he finna come back right now. You know what I'm saying? Because you gotta think, during this time, you had many that believed on him. You had many that you had the elect, many who during the time of the Romans, you had many who believed on him, man, right? Those prophets, the elect, the same ones who believe now, the same ones who believe back then, right? It says, "Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come," right? So that day shall not come yet. Yahweh shall not coming yet, right? Except they're coming or falling away first, and that men of sin be revealed. The son of perdition, right? So that's a big falling away first, and that 70 ADs that coming there falling away. A lot of people spreading all over to these Gulf of Africa things of that such, right? You know, falling out the way these other heathens doing these things to these other nations, right? That's that falling away, right? And that's when you understand it, right? A lot of people did fall away because why you think Yahweh Shah was sent, man? Why you think Yahweh Shah was sent, right? Yahweh Shah was sent, right? To what? To bring light into the Gentiles, right? Isaiah 42, I'm going to read 1, and I'm going to jump down, right? Isaiah 42, verse 1, behold my servant, whom I uphold, my elect, whom my soul delighteth. I have put my spirit upon him, talking about Yahweh Shah. He shall bring forth judgment to the Gentiles. Who's a Gentile? Israelites in the foreign state of mind, right? Which, right? What is that? Verse 19, Isaiah 42:19. Who is blind but my servant, or deaf as my messenger that I sent? Who is blind as he that is perfect, and blind as the Lord's servant? Meaning what, right? Meaning what, right? Understanding that even the prophets were blind at one point. Even the servant of the elect was blind at one point. You was woken back up to this truth, right? He brought us to remembrance. You remember something after you lost memory of it. You remember when it happened. So now we're bringing it back after the falling away. Now we're being brought back to our remembrance. We're being brought back to this knowledge, right? Because why? Because we had a falling away first, right? I mean, it was stripped from us. People was going off on these ways of other nations, right? You know, and I got it right here in my notes, man, right? Talking about the prophets, the elect, they were all blind at one point, right? You have Israelites who were blind at one point, but Yahweh Shah calls us to understand, right? So now we're going to go before we go to Romans, we're going to go to John. We're going to go to John 17 and 12, right? It says, while I was with them in the world, I kept them in thy name. Matter of fact, I was actually reading this in the NLT, but I'll finish it off, right? Those that thou gavest me, I have kept them, and none of them is lost, but the son of perdition that might be fulfilled, right? So you had people who were blind, right? Like I said, you had those message servants who were blind at one time, man, right? But they believe, right? And they understood the light that Yahweh Shah brought down here. So excuse me. I'm finna go to the NLT real fast, right? So this is John 17 and 12. He said, during my time here, I protected them by the power of the name you gave me, right? I guarded them so that none was lost, right? Because the rest of them are lost, man. The rest of our people are lost. The rest of people had to fall away, fall out the ways of the Romans, all these things, right? Doing the ways of these other nations, worshiping their God, doing these things, right? But the ones that believe, right, which Paul was talking about, right, that remnant, that elect, that's what we got to understand. It's a elect, man. right? All of Israel was going off. That's why he said he got the elect, right? He said, I guarded them that so that, and it's crazy through the Spirit. I was just watching Apostle Gabar lesson. He was naming the sharing characteristic of the Holy Spirit. You know, the Holy Spirit upon you. He was talking about how, you know, a lot of people don't really go into the elect. They're always talking about, you know, all Israel need to return, but understand the truth for the elect, man. That's the point of view. That's who Yahushua came down here to deal with, the elect, right? My Father gave me them. My Father gave me you, right? Which is out of this world, right? I pray for them, right? The elect, man. Right? He came for the elect, the ones who's gonna believe, the ones who's gonna understand, right? Because we're gonna get to it, right? It says, I guarded them so that not one was lost, except the one headed for destruction, as the scripture foretold, right? Jude 1:4, right? Just because you got this the same way you got men that set to be saved, you got men who set to be destroyed, right? Even in Romans, right? You know, scripture twofold, right? Romans 9, if I'm not mistaken, right? It says, had not the potter power over the clay of the same lump to make one vessel unto honor, another unto dishonor, right? What if Yahweh wants to show his wrath, right? To make his power known and endure with long suffering, the vessel of wrath fitted to destruction. This is twofold, right? That's what I got right in the notes, right? Of course, talking about Jacob and Esau, but this is going to be applied to Israel as well, the elect and the non-elect, right? You know, you got to understand it, right? You have those ones who set to be destroyed, and you got the ones who set to be saved. The ones who set to be saved is the elect, man, right? Because why? You got those ones who are going to be destroyed because, you know, ultimately, the man of sin, the son of perdition, who is Esau, Edom, but you have Jake who fall after the ways of them, man. You have Jake who lost, fall after the ways of Esau, Edom, fall after the ways of the other nations. So therefore, guess what? They're going to be destroyed, man. Right? So first, I want to go to Romans 11, right? And I started verse 1. It says, I say then, hath Yahweh cast away his people? Yahweh forbid. For I am also the Israelite of the seed of Abraham, of the tribe of Benjamin. Because Yahweh knew he always had his elect, man. Right? Ephesians 1 and 4. According as he has chosen us in him before the foundation of the world, that we should be holy meaning separate, right? Without blame before him in love, having predestinated us unto the adoption of the children by Yahushua Mashiach to himself, according to the pleasure of his good will, right? So you have to understand the elect has been predestinated. The elect has been predestinated, has been foreknew. That's why you hear apostles say a lot, you know, that you know, it ain't necessarily of works, right? We still scribing, doing the right work, but it ain't necessarily of the work, because the elect has been predestinated, man. The elect has been chosen, man, right? So going back to Romans 11, right? It says, Yahweh had not cast away his people, which he foreknew. Wote ye not the scripture saith of Elias, how he maketh intercession to Yahweh against Israel, saying, Lord, they have killed thy prophets and did down thy altars. I am left alone. They seek my life. Because why? Elijah was the last prophet. Thought he was the only one left. You know, Elijah seeing that all the people bugged out. All the people are going off. Right? Got right here in my notes, man. Right? They're dealing with Elijah. He thought that he's the last prophet left. So, you know, so Apostle Paul is using him as an example to show that there's a you know, that's why you got to read the scripture, see what it said. He said, wote ye not what the scripture saith of Elias? You ain't hear what Elijah said, right? Lord, they have killed thy prophets and did down thy altars. Am I left alone? They seek my life, right? I am left alone. They seek my life. So he think he's the last one. He think he's the only one left, right? Everybody else bugged out. He think he's the last one left, right? But Apostle Paul using him to show that what? He said, but what said the answer of Yahweh unto him, right? I have reserved to myself 7,000 men who have not bowed the knee to the image of Baal. Even so, at this time, also there is a remnant according to the election of grace. Meaning what? There's a remnant of chosen election, one that I have chosen, man. That I have picked, that I have showed favor to, kindness, grace, right? That I have showed that's the elect, right? He says that if by grace, then there is no more works. Otherwise, grace is no more grace. But if it be a works, then there's no more grace. Otherwise, work is no more work. And otherwise, meaning what? that even though we're chosen, we still have to strive to do. And the elect gonna do them works. The elect gonna strive and do those works. The elect gonna show their faith. They're gonna show their faith through their works, man. Right? He said, "What then? Israel have not obtained that which he seeketh for, but the election hath obtained it, and the rest were blinded." You know what? Because you had to fall away, right? But the elect, that remnant gonna return back. The elect, that remnant gonna come back to the understanding of Yahweh Shah, right? Because why? All of Israel have fallen away, right? What we just read, right? What we just read? It's like it had a brain fart just now. But all Israel was lost and gone off, man. So therefore, and Daniel, right? It's like, and Daniel real fast. We'll go back to Daniel 9 and verse 11. "Yeah, all Israel had transgressed thy law, even by departing, that they might not obey thy voice. Therefore the curse is poured upon us, and the oath that is written in the law of Moses, the servant of Yahweh, because we have sinned against him." So all Israel went off. There was a falling away of all Israel, right? But the Most High kept his remnant, right? Let me see. Right? Isaiah 10 and 20, right? "And it shall come to pass in that day that the remnant of Israel, such as are escaped of the house of Jacob, shall no more again stay upon him that smote him, but shall stay upon the Lord, the Holy One of Israel, in truth. The remnant shall return." The same remnant he's talking about in Romans 11, that remnant, that elect, right? They shall return, even the remnant of Jacob, unto the mighty unto the mighty power. "For though thy people Israel be as the sand of the sea, yet a remnant of them shall return. The consumption decree overflow with righteousness," right? A remnant of them gonna return, right? Because why? We had a fall in the way. Our people was going off, right? Israel had failed, right? You had the Northern Kingdom taking out their land. You have our land being taken from us. And you can read about Jerusalem taken away from us in Lamentations, man, right? Jerusalem being seized by the Romans, things of that such, right? You got to understand that all Israel fell, but that don't mean that the Most High was done with us. No, because the Most High knew we was going to go off. That's why he always had his remnant, his elect. And all Israel will be saved, but you got 2/3 going to go through that judgment first, right? 2/3 going to go through that judgment. Matthew 5 and 19, right? You have least in the kingdom of heaven, you have great, man, right? No, that's why you have his elect, who what? The elect when the elect, they're going to move out of the spirit, how about Shah, and going to do those things that the spirit tell them to do, that the spirit leads them to do. They're going to let the spirit lead them, man, because they got that faith in Yahweh Shah, and they understand the reason Yahweh sent Yahweh Shah, they had to be crucified, right? Because we're not judged by the law no more. They don't mean we go out here and just do what we want, right? At the end of the day, we still got to strive and push as much as we can, but we so under sin. So we're not going to be perfect, but we made perfect through our suffering. Suffering the things that's life, right? Suffering and going through the punishment, right? You know, if your mom put you on punishment and every day you keep trying to sneak outside, right? And your mom put you on punishment and every day you still trying to go out and do the same things that had you on punishment, is you ever going to get out punishment? No. We're going to put you on punishment to correct your behavior, right? We're on punishment right now. We supposed to suffer. This life ain't for us, right? So now we set this life to correct our behavior for the falling away that happened, right? So now our homeland got took from us, and we're going through this hardship. We got to suffer it, right? Understand it, and therefore in due time, we're going to be put back to our rulership, and we suffer and do the righteous things this time. Therefore, we can get out this punishment, man, right? So there was a falling away, man. All of Israel did fall, right? But that remnant was the one that was going to return back, right? So, Lord willing, the lesson was edifying and exalting, right? And I want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Kakadash. Double honors unto the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. And shout out to the whole flesh, starting with the 144,000.